Anytime I day, I had to think about you. Trying not to lose you, cause you're my one and only. Up the promise chain. Come baby, cause I need you only. Oh dear, the same. Tell me, baby, over me, out of passion, me nimdi, might you obia. I see the things we do for love. You should do for love. On the way, won't go on me bed. Emma obia, but it's a more. On the way, won't go on me bed. Let's get it, Emma obia, but it's a more.
Monsieur Meppy, but I prefer your love. Nanama, why you making it so hard? Your parties they make it they look like I be bad. And to the be not to be set, me your drugs if it's you where they confess. Or him your body make a confess. Before understand say I the hustle it could be one day. I be shame you the step.
Hey, I can't go back. I just wanna be alone. Baby, come back. I just wanna be with you. I can't go back. I just wanna be alone. Baby, come back. Let's get it, baby. On the way, won't wanna me back. Emma Ubia, but it's a demo. On the way, won't wanna me back. Emma Ubia, but it's a demo.
Na.
Won't wanna me back. Emma Ubia, but it's a demo. On the way, won't wanna me back. Emma Ubia, but it's a demo. I'll get money, I'll get shika. 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 I'll get money, yeah. 101 out here.
101 out here.
I'm the boy with the juice.
Let's get it, baby.
Yeah. Ooh, oh, yeah. 3, triple 3.
Go get it.
Citi TV is live on DSTV. Go to channel 363. On GoTV, access Citi TV on channel 182. On a digital TV, please press the menu button on the remote control and run a new search on your TV. Take note that without an antenna, you cannot access Citi TV on your television. Citi TV can be accessed on a free-to-air digital box like the GoTV and StarTimes box. Citi TV, it's your world.
Imagine if you can get all the understanding on some of the difficult subjects you struggle with in school. As a student, do you feel dissatisfied with how hard it is to figure out the subjects you're learning? Or as a parent or guardian, do you worry that your child is struggling to understand some of the subjects in school? Well, now you don't need to sign up for extra lessons or tutors. Simply tune in to Class Act, Mondays to Thursdays at 5:30 p.m. on Citi TV. Class Act is a show that seeks to enable senior high school students gain a much better understanding of what they learn in school. All you need is a TV, a chair, your notebook, and your pen. Get clarity on subjects such as maths, English, IT, and science. Class Act airs every Monday to Thursday at 5:30 p.m. on Citi TV on DSTV channel 363 and GoTV channel 182. Don't forget your pens, pencils, and your notebooks and tune in to Class Act only on Citi TV.
Good morning.
Welcome to Breakfast Daily on Citi TV. It's a beautiful Tuesday morning.
Yes. We welcome you from wherever you are watching in the world. This is Breakfast Daily. My name is David Citi.
And I am Dziffa and David. Of course, it's an interactive show, so we want to hear from you wherever you are. Just join the conversation with the hashtag Breakfast Daily.
And we have our WhatsApp line as well. You can use that. It's 0550-585832. If you happen to be outside Ghana, kindly add +233.
Now, this morning we'll be looking at all things NDC Manifesto.
Yep.
Yesterday, they officially launched the much anticipated Manifesto.
A very rambunctious crowd out there yesterday. Really excited, and I was kind of intrigued with the whole animation of every time you hear certain things that seemed very popular with the crowd, and especially the balcony, the guys on the balcony.
Everyone will let us know your thoughts on the manifesto. I mean, what were some of your expectations? Were they met? Were there any surprises for you? And what do you make of the entire presentation last night? Just use the hashtag Breakfast Daily and the WhatsApp line for us to hear from you.
Yes, it was 0550-585832.
Yeah, now every morning we start the show with our quote of the day, so we'll take a look at our quote this morning.
The quote of the day comes from Anne Frank, and she says, "How wonderful it is that nobody need wait a single moment before starting to improve the world." Nobody need wait a single moment before starting to improve the world. Yeah, I think so. I mean, that's whatever it doesn't take much to improve the world. It's just that little step, whether it's a kind word, whether it's a kind act, whether it's an act of discipline, putting things right. I mean, it's just small things, and it all adds up, So, yes, it's a wonderful thing.
And I think anytime you're presented with an opportunity to serve, that is your opportunity to improve the world. So if you are a sweeper, without you, people will be living in filth. So you might think it's a very, insignificant job. I'm just sweeping the street.
Yeah.
But the day you don't show up to work, people are going to say, "Oh gosh, where's John? If he were here, this place would be clean."
Will be clean.
Or if you're an organizer, if you're not there, sometimes we lose sight of the impact we have because we think of ourselves as tiny little beings. But the little things we're doing actually contributes to making the world a little better.
Absolutely.
Last night, NDC Manifesto launch.
Yes. Finally, they did it.
Yeah.
Finally, they did it. And there are bits of it that seemed to me quite impressive. But then I keep asking myself, okay, so hold on a second. This is a flag bearer who has had the chance before, and he's making promises that he's made in varying forms before. Okay, so with every manifesto launch, there's a promise of employment, there's a promise to improve the economy, there's a promise to improve the lot of the impoverished.
Yeah.
Those things are elements that show up every single time. Healthcare and all of those things. How is he so confident making all these promises again when he had a 4-year period to actually do this? And by, a lot of, you do the measurements. So for example, let me give a classic example. The school classroom blocks. I remember when the first manifesto was read, this was earlier, the previous election. They said they're going to build 200. I think eventually when we tracked it, they did about 50-something. Okay. But now they're saying that they're going to come back and complete all unfinished blocks and school projects and everything else. Is it feasible? These are the kind of questions that for me, they occur to me, and I'm asking myself, okay, so the first time you had the opportunity, but now you're saying that, forgive me for not doing the things I didn't do in the past.
No, he didn't complete it.
Yes.
Same thing with MPP. No, they said one district, one factory. They didn't finish the factories.
No, that's fair. That's fair. I'm just saying that. What's the if you have 200 blocks, right? You say 200 blocks. You completed 50. How many are uncompleted? How many are actually in the process of being built and are uncompleted? I'm not sure of that figure, right? But I know that 50 were completed, right?
And they are also accusing the current administration
of not continuing on. So the
point was that government is supposed to be a continuum.
Which is a
so whatever
very
I'm
fair
not able
point.
to finish,
Yeah.
you're supposed to continue, especially now with free SHS. A lot of schools have been complaining about the size of their classrooms. So, I don't know.
Yeah, and I think these things, they give us opportunity to probe, and ask further questions of the various parties that are putting their best foot forward, and let's ask them the questions that need to be asked.
Definitely.
I wasn't very excited about the idea of. I believe very much that we need to improve our lot as we go on, and part of improving our lot is making sure that the entire ecosystem, in terms of, we have to think end to end. So if you're looking at things like cars, right, and you say salvage cars, you're going to abolish whatever law has banned. I think the law was passed in March that is banning the importation of salvage cars.
I don't think it's implemented yet.
No, they're implementing it in November, but it was passed in March. My thing is, why would you want to reverse such a law? Okay, here's the way I think about it. Now, if you're going to ban salvage cars, it does a number of things for us. So first of all, salvage cars are actually compromised vehicles, right? They are more prone to accidents, and in an accident, they are more prone to complete damage because they've already experienced faults. So the vehicles are compromised. You've salvaged them. That means the vehicle is already a compromised vehicle. Now, if we had a system in place where we say, if you bring in a brand new car, zero tax. If you the older the car, the more the tax. You'll find that you're still going to make money from people importing used vehicles, but then they're not going to be salvage vehicles, which means that the level of compromise in terms of the accident prone, when you do have an accident, the dangers involved, the danger to the occupants is minimized because the vehicles themselves can withstand a little more because they've not experienced an earlier shock, from an accident.
I think theoretically that makes sense, but for the average Ghanaian who relies on that for their livelihood, they're not really thinking about it as a tax break for the rich who can afford brand new cars. But where am I going to get my daily bread from? It's like saying let's abolish used clothing because of all the impact it will have on us. All the thousands of women across the country will rely on that.
Right? You've lived in the US before, right? Why don't we rather look at, let's create systems where people like, let's say young people who are coming out of university, have facilities for them where you can walk into a showroom and pick up a new car and pay over time. I mean,
I think
I know it's an ideal situation, right?
Sense, but we're still a developing country.
So should we import salvage cars?
Not necessarily, but let's look at some of the things they mentioned as well.
Okay,
so
let's go ahead.
Some of the pointers we wrote down are create 1 million jobs in 4 years, for instance. So that's 250,000 jobs per year. Dab a Jumapa.
So the Jumapa will include. It says that NAPCO beneficiaries will be retained permanently, and they will be given decent wages. Provide free health care was number 2. Provide free health care for all Ghanaians. Under this policy, any Ghanaian who visits a CHIPS compound or health center or polyclinic or district hospital will be treated for free. Interesting one. I'll come back and comment on that. I mean, absorb 50% of the school fees of all tertiary students for the 2020-2021 academic year. Okay, number 4 is to improve and continue the implementation of free SHS, abolish the double track system, expand the free SHS program to cover students in senior high schools and in underserved and deprived areas, and so on and so forth. There's a whole lot of this list of different things that we have. But let's take a look at what happened at the Manifesto launch yesterday.
The party had to reschedule the launch to enable its National Executive Committee and Council of Elders to approve the policy principles and strategies promised in the manifesto. The party's 2016 manifesto was christened Changing Lives, Transforming Ghana. The theme for the 2020 policy document, however, is the People's Manifesto, Restoring Hope to All Ghanaians. Chairman of the NDC Manifesto Committee, Professor Danso Boafo, explains the 6 thematic areas in the 2020 manifesto.
Theme 1, titled Fixing the Economy and Uniting Against Poverty. The second theme was Promoting Human Development. Theme 3, Providing Infrastructure for Growth. The fourth theme, Creating Sustainable and Decent Jobs. Ejumapa. We've christened it Ejumapa because we are differentiating between Ejumapa and Ejumaboni.
Taking his turn to address the gathering, the minority leader, Haruna Idrisu, noted the manifesto will tackle corruption, nepotism, reform the Ghanaian public service, and also introduce massive reforms in Ghana's legal system.
He makes a solemn pledge for a truly independent judiciary, a fearless and predictable judiciary, and a commitment of an initiative he started then with then Chief Justice of the Republic, Justice Theodora Wood, that he would give true meaning to Article 1582 and 149 of the Constitution, which seeks to improve the conditions of service of all workers within the judiciary service. His solemn pledge. He would also support the judiciary to establish courts of appeal in some parts of the country, western, northern, and the Volta regions, to facilitate speedy adjudication of justice, whilst increasing resources and expanding access to legal aid to the poor and the indigents. President John Dramani Mahamad's pledge on corruption and ending nepotism and growing corruption. He makes a commitment, and the commitment will be to reduce the size, call it the elephant size, of government. Unprecedented in our country history, 118 ministers of state. Excellency John Dramani Mahama makes a commitment to the Ghanaian people.
The flag bearer of the NDC, John Dramani Mahama, has also been highlighting some key policies contained in the manifesto.
This manifesto lays the foundation for the renewal of our institutions and progress for all. It is my hope that you will identify the ideals of our People's Manifesto and vote for John Mahama and for the great NDC team and engage us with a view to holding us to our commitment on program delivery. I believe that there are great times ahead for our people. All of us, myself included, learned a lot of valuable lessons during the period of preparing this manifesto. The most important was the growing and humbling understanding of the fact that the December elections will be unlike any other election in our recent history. It will be an election of destiny. It will be an election of the future. It will be an election of the future of our children and our grandchildren. This election will be about the very soul of a new Ghana. Our historic mission right now is to provide our fellow Ghanaians with the opportunity to become a part of tomorrow's world and offer our beloved country a clear chance to spread prosperity to all our people and move into the status of an advanced middle-income country within the next 5 years. Restructure the Rent Control Office into a Ghana Rent Authority to effectively implement the new Rent Act in the interest of tenants and landlords. We will increase the District Assembly's Common Fund back to 7.5% from the 5% that the current government has put it. This will make sure that enough revenue goes to the district assemblies to function effectively and provide adequately for people in the decentralized districts, and also for people with disabilities. We'll promote local content for local contractors in all sectors of the economy to increase the contribution of Ghanaians to a minimum of 55% of GDP and improve Ghanaian ownership and participation of our economy. Amend the Public Procurement Act to give priority to Ghanaian businesses in the award of contracts financed from public funds. Within a year in office, we will pay the full amount due every victim of the reckless handling of the financial sector cleanup. Conduct a forensic audit on the entire financial sector cleanup exercise, including the Ghana Amalgamated Trust. Amend the National Pensions Act, 2008, Act 766, to improve both service delivery and financial efficiency of the SNIT pension scheme. Allow contributing workers, such as private teachers, amongst others, who lose their jobs suddenly due to natural occurrences, such as COVID-19 pandemic, to be paid stipends while they search for a new job. And this is important. Allow workers who have contributed for a minimum period of 10 to 15 years to use their contribution as collateral to access mortgage loans for housing.
So that's the flag bearer of the NDC, John Dramani Mahama. They talked about things they will do in the agri sector, providing jobs for young people, healthcare for all. You know, they were actually going to help people battling with kidney failure, cancer, among others. Okada riders, obviously, they are going to get some legalization there. Restore automatic employment of newly trained teachers in the academic sector. They talked about student loans, pension sector. So many different things they talked about. And Nana Jane obviously came to talk about the most vulnerable in our society. So when it comes to sanitary pads for young girls, making that available, reaching out to our Zongo communities, setting up TVETs across the country to help really bridge the gap between the poor and the rich. And I think for people who are really looking for, you know, manifesto for the people, by the people, as they said, I hope you were impressed by what they said.
Yeah, it's fascinating. We have some messages here. Somebody says here, Isaac Zoblu says, please, even in the US, they have salvage repairable vehicles. Mahama, as for this one, all my friends outside Ghana are giving you a thumbs up. You brought back lost hopes of the majority of Ghanaians. Yeah, okay. Interesting there. The one thing that I think I find interesting here in the manifesto launch that I was looking at just a second ago is the Eastern Corridor roads and the big push. You know, the big push is supposed to be one that involves a transportation plan that will involve the completion of all roads, major roads around, including the Eastern Corridor Road. Now, mind you, the Eastern Corridor Road was supposed to have been largely completed in the last campaign. Okay, this is before the MPP came into office. I remember there was a serious situation where they had actually come with the Green Book and talked about the fact that they had completed. You remember that evidence-based incident in Parliament?
Yeah.
You know, and they talked about the Eastern Corridor Road has been done from this place to this place and so on. And then immediately we fact-checked and started calling them out. They said, no, it hasn't been done. Our correspondent is right there on the ground. Now, I don't know what is up with the Eastern Corridor Road.
Yeah.
Because honestly, it's not only the NDC government that has tried sorting that out. Under Kufuor, under NDC, and then under this current government, this Eastern Corridor Road is still staring at all of us in our faces, and nobody seems to be able to have a grasp on it. I mean, I don't know what it, but it shows up and it shows up in every manifesto.
Yeah.
You know.
And I like the part about small businesses. So they say that small businesses will be exempted entirely from corporate and personal income tax. Corporate income tax for medium-sized companies will be reduced from the current 25% to 15%, as well as newly established medium-sized companies that employ up to 20 staff will be exempted entirely from the payment of corporate income tax for 1 year. I think this one, if they are able to implement it, will be great, because then we are not only relying on the public sector to create jobs, but we're providing enough incentive for the private sector to provide job opportunities. I did see some overlaps between the MPP and the NDC as far as helping tertiary education students. So I think everyone is beginning to look at this crop of SHS people are going to graduate, they're going to go to school. What kind of support do we provide? MPP is talking about, you know, helping out with your rent. NDC is talking about reducing some of your tuition fees or subsidizing it for you. So I think at the end of the day, as long as they are serving the interest of Ghanaians, and it's not just mere rhetoric on both ends, it should be interesting.
I think that's what's important at the end of the day, because development is a continuum, and we need to make sure that we keep pushing it. And of course, they're going to legalize Okada as well as a major thing. That looks like an area that will bring quite a bit of excitement. And if it's done well with the proper framework, we'll have good employment. Well, this morning it's been exciting. And I want you to keep your thoughts coming through with the hashtag Breakfast Daily and the WhatsApp line 0550585832. News Review is up next. My name is David Kwekusichi.
And I am Dziffa and David. We'll be right back.
The world is impossible without time. Time is endless motion. Make time work for you. Bet Planet. Time to bet.
There is no promise we cannot keep. There is no commitment we cannot honor. There is no delivery we cannot guarantee. There is only one Bethel Logistics Company Limited, a licensed international freight forwarding and clearing agent, a trusted global brand with an extensive network for the movement of air freight and ocean freight worldwide. We are the trusted name for road freight into Western and Northern Africa. We are fully accredited by Ghana Customs and Excise. We cater for all your freight forwarding, customs clearing and forwarding, cross trades, inland transportation, internal cargo tracking systems, customer freight costing and consultancy, cold chain logistics management, logistics and warehousing, quality inspection, and much more. In Accra, Tema and Takrady, we are always available to ensure easy movement of cargo countrywide. Call us on 0204 528 900 or 0244 707 859. Email info@bethellogistics.com. Locate us in Accra at North Ridge, adjacent Accra Girls High School, or in Tema at Community 4, or in Takrady on the second floor of the GCB building. Website bethellogistics.com. Bethlog, experts in shipping logistics.
Comprehensive news. The Citi Newsroom at 8 p.m. on Citi TV is your most engaging news bulletin on TV.
It's a very oh, that's too bad. The youth are still throwing stones. They are still throwing stones here into our direction. And can I come in? I want to come in. Okay.
Telling your stories better with correspondents covering every corner of the country.
Getting access to potable water is a daily struggle for residents of Kakichekopi and Balekopi communities in the Ada East district of the Greater Accra region.
Citi Newsroom at 8 p.m. Very fluent with issues that concern you.
This is quite a car for Mr. Rabbi. Someone is in a bread. Told this kind of it's 1 week. What do you say?
Is it unfair? What all this? What all this? We are dying! We are dying! We are dying for Choco!
With Citi Newsroom, your community is now connected.
In this our community, all of us we are very sorry of this school. If we went to see the children, they are so small. Even my grandchildren are there. My grands outside there. If they come out from the school, I will be easy.
Every day at 8 p.m., Citi Newsroom is live on Citi TV.
All right, welcome back, and it's time for us to get into the news review this morning. On this segment of the show, it's interactive, so kindly use the hashtag Breakfast Daily for us to hear what you're thinking, and then the WhatsApp line is 0550-585-832. Now, I'm going to go through the headlines of the dailies that I have in front of me here. We'll do some online stories. I'll introduce my guests to you, and then we'll get into the conversation. And as you can imagine, the NDC manifesto launch will be quite heavy in this morning's discussion. All right, on the front page of the Daily Graphic, NDC on rescue mission, says Mahama. Elizabeth Ohene assumes duty as guest editor for the Graphic. President Akufo-Addo elected ECOWAS chairman. Fund management companies, government approves 3.1 billion Ghana Cedi bailout for customers. On the front page of the Ghanaian Times, election 2020, vote NDC for a bright future. Mahama to Ghanaians at Manifesto launch. 28 police officers dismissed over professional misconduct. NDC Manifesto, empty ritual in quotes. This is coming from the MPP. Bagri Dam spillage, 100 passenger cars stranded, roads cut off. At the ongoing 57th ECOWAS summit, President elected new ECOWAS chairman. On the front page of the New Crusading Guide, ECOWAS endorses Akufo-Addo. Mahama inciting ethnic groups against MPP. This is Mustafa Hamid. In the matter of the Ejapa deal, is GOG running out of borrowing options? Tepe quizzes. BPPI condemns Achim Mafia comments, tells Mahama to apologize. On the front page of the Chronicle, Mahama fulfilled only 30% of 2012 manifesto. This is the MPP. Illegal activities of Western Togoland promoters. Stop firefighting approach. This is Colonel Festus Abuaji says government must rather educate youth on how German Togoland became a part of Ghana. President Akufo-Addo heads ECOWAS. All right, on the front page of the Finder newspaper, 6,300 entrepreneurs seeking NEIP funding in 5 Northern Belt regions. NDC rehashed old unfulfilled promises into 2020 Manifesto. 2020 elections will be fought on records, not tribalism, says Dr. Baumia. NDC to reverse laws on Okada and salvaged cars ban, VAT decoupling, among others. President Akufo-Addo elected ECOWAS chairman. And on the front page of the Daily Statesman, Akufo-Addo chairs ECOWAS, promises to drive regional integration agenda. Issues-based campaign is in the interest of MPP. Demonstration to hit NDC leader over a chimp insult. We have superior governance records. MPP challenges NDC. Let's do some online stories now. And on citynewsroom.com, NDC to construct domestic airport in Upper East region, says Mahama. I'll scrap law banning importation of salvage vehicles, says Mahama. Economy under Akufo-Addo working for a few people. This is coming from the flag bearer of the NDC. Mahama will sting up corruption like a scorpion, says Haruna Idrisu. And on citybusinessnews.com, no network operator has sent campaign messages to customers. This is a clarification from the Telcom's chamber. Business activities at Kotoka International Airport gradually picking up after months of inactivity. Business operators in and around tertiary schools expectant of full reopening to boost sales. 33% reduction in trade surplus recorded for the first half of 2020. NDC will scrap new law banning importation of accident cars. This is from Mahama. And on BBC.com, Africa Live, Buhari condemns third-term bids by West African leaders. All right, so for more news, kindly visit citynewsroom.com. And for more business news, kindly visit citybusinessnews.com. All right, and so as we get into the conversation, let me introduce my first guest to you. He's Nana Asafo-Adjei, administrator of the MPP Youth Wing. Good morning.
Morning, my brother.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Fantastic. I'm very well. Your initial thoughts on the NDC's manifesto launch as they did yesterday, from where you stand?
Okay. Thank you very much. And let me say a very good morning to your viewers. Let me also say good morning to the leadership of my party. And also commend the government, the president, Nana Akufo-Addo, for being elected as the chairperson of the ECOWAS. I mean, having played a little bit in the international circles, I fully appreciate what that means to Ghana and what that means to Africa as a whole. And looking at the critical situation and circumstances, and there was no other person less than Nana Akufo-Addo in these critical times and situations to salvage the country. I mean, what he has done in Ghana is a manifestation that, look, in fact and indeed, I mean, he is the man for the moment and the time. Africa, ECOWAS particularly, needs him now because he's taking accolades and applause from all over, particularly with regards to COVID and all. So I think that the appointment, I mean, suits the purpose, and he deserves it. So I commend him and commend the team that put together or helped or ensured that this happening. And also, this is the Africa we want to see. And I believe strongly that Nana Akufo-Addo, in the helm of affairs in ECOWAS, we'll definitely get there. In fact, this is just by the side. When the appointment came, I had a friend in Burkina Faso. We worked together when I was in Addis, Badini. He just sent me a text. He said, I hope Nanado will implement the ECHO. And I laughed, and I was like, this is a full confidence. And a lot of people, not just here, have confidence in Nana Akufo-Addo, and he has exemplified it, he has exhibited it, he has shown it across all levels. So for me, I commend him. That's just by the way. Now, with the NDC manifesto, I don't know whether I am to give a preliminary comment on the content. Let me read on the content or on the entire program that happened yesterday.
So I want to know which is let me position it for you.
That's fine.
Okay.
That will
let
help
me position
me
it for you. So we're going to have a conversation basically about 2020 elections, and then NDC is making more promises as the party launches the 2020 manifesto. So I'll read a couple of stories and then we can have a conversation about that. All right, so the first story is I'll scrap law banning importation of salvage vehicles, says Mahama. The flag bearer of the National Democratic Congress, NDC, John Dramani Mahama, has hinted of withdrawing the law that bans the importation of salvage vehicles into the country should he be voted into office. Mahama says that his next government will also scrap the proposed increment in the import duty for such vehicles. The move, according to the former president, is to ensure Ghanaians whose livelihoods depend on that sector of the economy continue to enjoy decent lives and revenues. The Customs Amendment Act 2020, among other things, provides incentives for automobile manufacturers and assemblers registered under the Ghana Automotive Manufacturers Program and prohibits the importation of salvaged motor vehicles and cars over 10 years of age into the country. It was passed by Parliament in March and is expected to be rolled out in November 2020. The minority in Parliament has insisted that the new law is counterproductive and will lead to more job losses than new employment. Hence, it must be withdrawn. Highlighting portions of the party's manifesto on Monday, September 7th, 2020. However, John Mahama indicated that the review of the Amendment Act is to protect the local automotive industry from collapse. We will review the Customs Amendment Act 2020 to scrap the law banning the importation of salvage vehicles and the proposed implementation of a 35% import duty rate. We're going to scrap it in order that salvage vehicles are not banned and the top duty rate government intends to impose on these vehicles does not happen. This is to safeguard the local automobile industry so that our people in Swami Magazine, Abasiokai, Hokompe continue to work to earn a decent living. All right, so that's one of the promises that he's making there. And let me start with that one and ask that what are your comments?
Okay, thank you very much, my brother. I think that first and foremost, let us place on record that the former president John Dramani Mahama seeking another election, or the flag bearer of the NDC, is on the verge of just trying to say anything, whatever, however, to win votes. For me, what happened yesterday is a clear exhibition of three things. Number one, points in the manifestos that were not verified or that were not cross-checked and then has been rehashed and repeated in the manifesto. So some will put it as lies or unchecked or unverified information. Number two, I think it is a repackage of the 2012 manifesto of the NDC that they could not achieve, or they did not touch or even do anything about it. They have reintroduced it. And the third point is a copy and polish. This is not copy and paste, it's a copy and polish of the MPP manifesto. These three things, if we have time, I'll critically take you through and prove them. Now, point number one, I want to a bit of this scrap thing. Now, you see, I think that we should be circumspect and speak to context. This whole issue about the importation or the banning of, salvage cars, let us get the point well. I think a lot of the people have been discussing this on many platforms and occasions without specifically looking at the details of what it is in there. Now, we are not saying we are banning, importation. We are stopping the importation of salvage cars. There are two types. They are saying that the cars that, to let everybody understand, the cars that have serious accidents and it has affected the usage of the car or the functioning of the car will not be allowed. Again, there is a comprehensive plan and package in-house home-based policy to help meet or get to that stage where Ghana could have such automobile or automotive industry to meet up the demands that we are looking at within a span of 10 years. So we could and we can have or meet that gap or be able to do all those things that we are looking at doing. So for me, if a certain flag bearer wants to go about promise and say anything because he wants vote, the people who are directly affected by these things, can speak to it and will vote to it. So I believe strongly that all these things we are saying, MPP have put in our manifesto out, NDC has also come out with theirs yesterday. The voters, the electorate, will go through the two, weigh them, again, look at the credibility of the message and the credibility of the messenger. Then they will make a choice and a decision. So for me, I trust the good people of Ghana to make a very good decision and choice come 7th December. But you see, you cannot just go about promising and promising and promising just because you want vote and even not checking your factor and everything that you have to check. Now, I told you there was the manifesto of the NDC has, it's full of the things they could not do.
Let me just address this before you move on to the other things in the manifesto. Concerning the salvage vehicles, in March of this year, when the bill, the Parliament was looking at the bill, the Automobile Dealers Association were threatening a demonstration over the bill if their issues were not addressed. Okay, and the story here that says here that members of the Automobile Dealers Association say they will be compelled to stage a demonstration if the government fails to address their concerns on the passage of the Customs Amendment Bill 2020. Parliament on Thursday passed the bill that bans the importation of accident or salvage vehicles into the country, despite the association's concern that the move will lead to massive job losses in the automobile industry. Now, I don't know exactly how you are positioning yourself as a government regarding these issues, because there are major concerns. Okay,
of course.
And the flag bearer of the NDC yesterday had made his position was that all the people in Suame magazine, Kokompe, Abosio Kai, and so on, must continue to eke out a worthy living. So.
But you see, that's why I'm trying to say that it will be good for all of us, particularly you, the middleman or the fourth realm, to look at the issues dispassionately of politics. When you allow me, I will speak to the things that would favor my political party. When you allow whoever sits at the opposition side, we also speak favorably to the political party. Now, I want to ask some basic question. Did the said demonstration happen?
They threatened.
Yes, it is different to threaten, and it is different to see it happening. Now, it tells you that when it was threatened, there was some consultation and some discussion that went on. The issues that were raised were looked at. Some assurances and clear explanation to that bill and the intended purpose of government, why such move or decision has been taken, was explained. And I believe strongly that the people understood And the people, as at now, for me, clearly understand the part of industrialization and development government is looking at. That is why I'm saying that it is about a 10-year span plan, which is to look at some of the things that come in and also complementing building the local automotive industry to meet that demand at the point that so nobody is losing any job. And I've explained that nobody is banning the type of cars that they import into this country. There are two types. There are some which critically have problems. There are some which it is good, even in the US, a little touch, they still use them. So that is what we are talking about. Accident cars cannot be brought into the country. That's the point we are talking about. So there are two different cars which we need to understand, and segments of it need to be explained. So it is you to help us do some of these discussions in context and in proper understanding. So for me, it is just one of the, promise galore and spray. I'll do this. Some of the things they forgot, they were the same people who banned it some years ago and they want to bring it back again. So you ask about all these things and you ask about what is the credibility. But for me, like I've said, I will not want to spend lots of time because I have some few things to look at and deal with. So the good people of this country who make a clear decision, and the credibility of the two gentlemen of this country who have had the opportunity to lead our country at the topmost part have credibility and record. So we'll check them. And in checking them, like I said, the manifesto, one, it's full of, unchecked information and facts. Two, it's full of...
Such as what?
Good. Now, when you go to their manifesto, and you critically look at page 46, 713, it says that the NDC manifesto states they would employ the backlog of qualified health professionals, specifically to say nurses. When you talk about this information, and you have it in your manifesto, it tells you clearly you have not checked, because currently we don't have a backlog, number one. Two, MPP came back to clear all those backlog you left in the the health professional, the nurses. MPP came to clear all those backlogs.
Are you saying that everybody's been employed now?
For now, the clearance have been given for the 2019 year group and the 2018 year group. So what is the backlog you're talking about?
Okay.
Now, don't forget that during President John Mahama's time, there was a total ban in employment in the public sectors. And you remember that, which gave us a lot of backlogs. So when we're talking about who cleared backlogs, then it is the MPP that came to clear the backlog. So this information should have been checked and verified before putting it in the manifesto. So I'm wondering and thinking why this can be a people's manifesto when the people should have told you that, look, they already have jobs. Because I know friends who completed nursing school 2012, and as at 2017 we could not still be employed. We came to do those backlogs and work on those ones after we had space and physical space in the financial sector. Two, page 46 again, it says implement tax waivers in order to assist health workers in order to acquire means of transportation to respond to emergency. Now when you say this, when you bring this point, let us not forget that in 2013 it is the same John Dramani Mahama and the NDC that banned the tax waivers and cancelled it for the health nurses when they are importing cars into this country. Remember? So when you go back, you ban them, and you come back to tell them that you are bringing it back. I said to ask that, look, why is the credibility? Is it that you are just on a spray of promising and giving whatever assurance because you want votes? We will check your records because you banned it, now you want to introduce it again. Now, we talked about, page 67, is to talk about the collaborative with traditional herbal medicine producers for rapid integration into the Ghana Health Service. Go and check. If the traditional medicine operators are already not part of Ghana Health Service or are not integrated into Ghana Health Service.
Are they?
They are. So you can call the health officers, the Ghana Health Service to check. They are. So again, you ask yourself that who did this consultation and who are the people they consulted into doing some of these things? The same place, they promise establishing Ghana midwifery at what. Go to East Legon and check if Ghana Midwifery or the Association for Ghana Midwifery is not in East Legon. So, I mean, who did this? Who helped in doing some of these things? Now, so these are the lies. Now, let's go to the copy and polish. Now, when you go to the NDC Manifesto, page 55, now they talked about facilitate the placement creative art product on digital platform for promotional purpose. It is clear that when you come to the MPP Manifesto, and I have it here, now under creative art, you would see clearly the MPP government stating clearly the support we are going to give to the creative art, building digital platform for them to help them ensure that some of these artworks they do has been put in at the appropriate platform to ensure that it is well patronized and the kind of revenue they are looking for.
But are you saying that the MPP government is the only one that has the preserve to provide such a...
Let me ask you a clear question. When the two of us are writing exams, you ask us a question and we're writing exams, and I happen to provide my response to my exams, and my response is read clearly to everybody. Now the second person brings a response, and you find my response in his response. What would you think?
No, but they said that the manifesto was already done.
No. What would you think? It's clearly, it tells you clearly that look,
at the time when
now there's a critical one.
The manifesto wasn't ready. They said the manifesto was already done.
There's a critical one. There's another part. We talk about the student loan in their manifesto. When you check it under tertiary education, page 74, you go down. Now everything there is a clear copy and polish of the MPP manifesto, particularly on tertiary student and the loan and the guarantors.
Okay.
Now this is what they have there. I want to read and then we will just oppose it with what we have.
You
then
have
it
to
will help the discussion in context.
You have to hold on for me because we need to take a short break at this moment. We'll come back and we'll continue the conversation.
That's fine.
Let's take a short break. We'll be right back.
The world is impossible without time. Time is endless motion. Make time work for you. Bet Planet. Time to bet.
Welcome back from that break. Remember, the show is interactive. We would definitely like to hear from you, so keep the messages coming through. Let me just introduce my other guest to you. He's Eric Edem Agbana, Deputy National Youth Organizer of the NDC. And I'll have Edem give us his take on yesterday's manifesto launch, and then we'll go back to Nana Asafo-Adjei. Good morning, Adam.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm doing great, and let me apologize for coming late. You know that is not characteristic of me, but something happened in the morning and I couldn't, make it here. So my
You're
apologies.
always the first in class.
Yes, I'm always the first in class. So today, yes. And let me also add that, but for Okada, maybe I would have even missed the show.
Hey.
Your security men were down there. Is Okada rider that was able to help me get here halfway into the program.
Okay. All right, go on. So yesterday, your manifesto was finally launched. And Nana Asafo-Adjei is already jabbing at you that you sat and waited for them to launch this, and then you picked elements of this and then polished it to present it.
Good morning to all our cherished viewers across the world, and let me say that yesterday the NDC outdoors the People's Manifesto, jobs, prosperity, and more. And let me congratulate the planning committee. If you see the clerks and the dexterity with which they went about with the organization, even though halfway through the program, the petty Akufo-Addo government decided to actually put out lights in most parts of the country, because those are the reports that we're getting on social media. Your production team can confirm, because they wanted
what are you
to.
saying?
Oh yeah, I mean halfway through the program, just when President Mahama was about to start his presentation, many parts of Accra lights went off, and this is no allegation. You can ask the viewers to test whether lights didn't go off in their areas.
The lights had been intermittently going off.
You see,
like a couple of hours before, so I don't even know why you are tying it in.
I am saying that halfway through the program, the petty Akufo-Addo government decided to.
I don't think that's a fair comment.
To put out the light. I mean, you see, sometimes in our space, and I can show you messages. Sometimes you pick intelligence, but you see, I don't want to dwell on that. We launched a beautiful manifesto. Let me go on to. So we launched the People's Manifesto. Very beautiful. It was a historic day for us as NDC and for us as Ghanaians, because this, for me, is the best manifesto any political party has ever done in the Fourth Republic, and it is the best manifesto using many standards. I mean, of measuring it. But what makes this manifesto, for me, stand out as unique is how extensive the consultative process has been. Every year, every election year, political parties come together, put out a manifesto committee, they sit in their room, they sit in luxurious hotel rooms and decide what is good for the people of Timpani, decide what drivers want, what is good for taxi drivers, what is good for trotro drivers, what is good for journalists, what is good for the young people of Ghana. We set up a manifesto committee made up of very, very experienced, very knowledgeable, some of the finest brains you can have in this country, and on any day I can put their pedigree on the line and then argue about it for you. But they decided to go down to the people and speak to the people and say, look, the process of governance is a collective decision. The days where politicians sit in their rooms, in the luxury of their hotel rooms, and decide the solutions that they want to prefer to your problems are over. Let's give you the opportunity to take part in the drafting of the manifesto. So we called it the People's Manifesto. We opened it up, asked people to send their suggestions. We went around, did what we call the Speak Out tour. The president himself, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, sat on various tables with young people, students, Okada riders, trotro drivers, Ghanaians from all over every sector of the economy, every facet of life, sat and took part and made recommendations. We came back and we got what we call the draft manifesto. Out of the draft manifesto, our committee sat and agreed on which of these policies are feasible, which of them can we actually do, how do we find sources of funding for this policy or that policy, how does this policy impact generally on the well-being of the people. Those are the things that we did. That was how meticulous the process has been.
And you think the MPP didn't do that with their manifesto?
What did they do? I mean, when we were doing it, they actually criticized it and said that we're doing it because we didn't have ideas, or we lacked ideas, or we didn't have people who could think for us. But we said, look, it's okay, you can insult us. It's okay. Today you are in power, you can be riding your high horses and be in your luxurious hotels and decide upon. We say that yes, you can insult us that we don't have ideas, but we sat with teachers to tell them that what can we do for teachers. We sat with nurses, we sat with leadership of the Ghana Bar Association, lawyers, we sat with students, we sat with stakeholders, professional groups. So you can insult us. We say, look, we are coming to rule this country or govern this country with these people. Their ideas also matter. Let's discuss with them. And I must admit, some of the very brilliant ideas that today find its way into the manifesto came from the people. For example, this issue of extending the maternity leave from 3 to 4. When it first came up, it was on a table, and a pregnant woman suggested that it has been a process. But 3 to 4, what would have been the difference really? We took it up. Other groups we engaged. Almost all the corporate women said, look, even if it is a week extension, because you see, it is not, we may be looking at it from the point that 3 and 4 months, but they were looking at it from the point of the exclusive breastfeeding, which all health experts say that if you want to give 3 months exclusive breastfeeding, that it is necessary. If you want to do extension optional, it should be about 6 months. So they thought that at least the first 3 months exclusive breastfeeding should be given to them. Then they will have an additional month trying to adjust or trying to help the child off the exclusive breastfeeding process and all that. So some of these things you may look at it as simple problem, but you see, these are things that can even impact on the orientation that our leaders will have, because we start building a nation from the home. Start with the parent. What kind of training? So these policies that we talk about, feasible. We are not like the MPP in 2016, and I'll go into the things that he was saying. You made 631 promises. 3 months to elections. We are here. How many of them have you fulfilled? That today you are here talking about people just putting in promises and all of that. I can list. You made 631. We even did an assessment of your manifesto and your delivery. You scored an abysmal 14%. So the MPP has no moral right to even talk about campaign promises. And if you talk about trust, you talk about leader with credibility. I'm surprised that my brother wants us to even get to that debate, because when he talks about credibility, sincerity of a leader, Akufo-Addo comes nowhere close, and Akufo-Addo himself will not want us to engage in that debate. And I'll tell you why.
I think the international world would beg to disagree with you.
Why?
So you think that ECOWAS would?
Please. You see, we all know what is the procedure. You see, what is that? You see, this ECOWAS. No. You see, ECOWAS leader. I'm not discounting or downplaying it.
But that's what you're doing.
No, I'm not downplaying the relevance of ECOWAS or how their leadership is selected. But I don't think that ECOWAS leadership knows that in 2016 Akufo-Addo promised the people of Ghana that he will not run a family and friends government, and today he has 56 members of his family in government. Most of the key ministries are headed by his family members. I can mention. I'm not sure that ECOWAS is aware that Akufo-Addo at the time.
Be aware. Their intelligence is.
No, you see, don't bring this issue. You see, we didn't even bring it to ECOWAS. We are talking about the credibility of Akufo-Addo.
Yes,
and I'm saying that this is a man who told the people of Ghana that he was going to run a lean government. At the time, we had 80 ministers, and today he has 125. He has no moral right to even talk about credibility, because he has none. Akufo-Addo doesn't have it. This is a man who, when he was asked us he was going to fight corruption, told us he was going to employ the ANAS principle. Today, what is Akufo-Addo doing? What he's doing is that he's rather using corruption to fight the ANAS principle, to fight ANAS and all the others. This is a man who has succeeded in clearing almost every appointee of his that has been cited in corruption scandals. How many of them? You see, at the end of the day, President Mahama has shown commitment to the fight against corruption to the extent that even members of his own government were prosecuted. Today, with all due respect to my senior brother Abuga Pele and Co, they are in jail today not because Akufo-Addo decided to jail them, but because President Mahama, the same person who appointed him, decided to take action against it. So credibility-wise, Akufo-Addo has none. So we shouldn't even get into the argument of credibility. Now, back to our manifesto. The People's Manifesto represents the hopes and aspirations of the Ghanaian people. Everybody, see, this manifesto is like a national cake sharing, and everybody has a share in it, from people living with disability to young people to farmers to this. Now we can come down to the argument of the practicality of the promises. That is what I want us to go into. You know why? Because the Ghanaian people, as I speak to you, Many young people have lost confidence in politicians. Why? Because Akufo-Addo has succeeded in degrading the confidence of the young people in politicians. Because the very things that they promise that they will not do are the things that they are doing. So at the end of the day, yes.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah, you can ask. Let's go into the policies.
In the manifesto,
yes,
under the big push,
yes,
there's you mentioned the Eastern Corridor roads.
Yes.
At what point in time are we going to stop talking about these Eastern Corridor roads? Because that's something that you promised the last time and you still didn't do it.
Great. When you look at the project...
Why should we believe you this time?
Yes, you should believe us because before President Mahama left office in 2016, various parts of the Eastern Corridor road, many parts of it...
Like which
constructions, I'll give you those parts. But you agree with me that many parts, construction work was ongoing.
No, I don't agree with you.
You see, work was ongoing. For example, from the, if you know the Eastern Corridor,
I know the Eastern Corridor,
right from the northern region through to the Volta region.
Yes.
From the what was the name? This Bipe. If you look at from the even on the Hokwe side, all of those parts, the work was going on. You can go there. I went to Peki just last week. Construction work was ongoing. They came and said that they wanted to audit the contract. So it wasn't as if work wasn't ongoing. Parts of it were completed, and I'll give you the exact names of the town so I don't miss it. So Ghanaian people will believe us because before we left office, work was ongoing. Work was ongoing on the Eastern Corridor road. So let's look at the policies. Let's look at the fact that President Mahama has decided that people living with disability will have free tertiary education. I schooled with some people living with disability. There was a certain gentleman, Kofigan. He used to even work in Parliament. There's another guy called Zameti today. Zameti is doing his PhD in Oxford University. He was my junior in Legon. He even attempted contesting for SRC president. He was a first-class student. This is a visually impaired student. When he shares the story, he will tell you that his family, so even his family didn't believe that a visually impaired student would be able to go to school to that level. So we have decided that let's encourage, we are promoting inclusiveness because Ghana must work and must work for everybody. So free tertiary education for persons living with disability, free primary health care from the district hospital level down to Chiefs compound. And we have a record of infrastructure when it comes to health. You see, the NDC built 1,680 Chiefs compound. And don't forget, those Chiefs compound were not even built with the government of Ghana money. They were built with 10% contribution of the salaries of our appointees under President Mahama. These are things we should be talking about. Now we are saying that we are providing free primary health care to the people of Ghana. Let's go into that. 1 million jobs.
Hold on, Adam. You're saying that
I think I need to
10% of appointees,
yes,
their salaries
was used to build Chiefs compound. It was a project. You can cross-check.
How much? You say how many Chiefs compound?
We built 1,680.
1,680 Chiefs compound.
Yes.
At a cost of what each?
It depends. You see, when you talk about even the building of Chiefs compound, it depends. It depends on the area. It depends on what facilities go into each of them.
I can cross-check that. Minimum basic cost for
I'm surprised. I'm actually surprised that you don't know. Maybe you are now hearing that
you are surprised
under the NDC. I'm surprised that you don't know that under the NDC, appointees of the government, yes, it is even there in our group. You see
10% of salaries of appointees. How many appointees?
Our appointees, all the 4 years, they were contributing 10% of their salaries, and that went into the building of Chiefs. You can cross-check. Okay. Let your production team cross-check for you.
Okay, I'll come back to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. You could see clearly my brother was struggling. And you see, it is because of this reason. When you choose to, be saltive and speak anyhow to your elderly, this is what you go through. How can, young as we are, trying to, find our footing in politics? Call names, use words like Petty Akufo-Addo.
Please go ahead.
As though it is your mate and it is your kind. So for me, it is clear the kind of personalities we are dealing with. Now, if you take those out. Now, he mentioned and touched base on credibility, and which is important. So we must establish that credibility clearly first. Now, for a man who failed to manage the economy of our country to the point that our economy was taken to IMF, for policy credibility, and in return, IMF slapped us with austerity measures, which includes not employing into the public sector.
Which is not true.
Comes back to tell us he's promising jobs. When this same man told us he's not a magician. Now you talk about credibility of this man. For a man again who could fight, resist, run down, use all the adjectives you can on a single expansion policy in education, free SHS. Even to the point that he could make an utterance that, look, if you put about 2 billion into only free SHS, you are technically crippling other sectors of the same education and even other parts of the economy. This man now comes back to tell us that he is promising free SHS and even to the private school and even give whatever to tertiary, and you want to tell me that that man is credible? I just can't fathom it. For a man, I am a product of training, teacher training. For a man who could come and cancel the allowances of teacher training, to the point that these same trainees, the people today you are referring to as the People's Manifesto, the People Manifesto, came begging you. You refused. You didn't listen to them. You went ahead and scrapped it, cancelled it. Now you come back to promise us again, and you think that this man has credibility? I mean, what? I just can't think about it.
Okay.
I mean, the same man who was... We were talking about the Eastern Corridor project. Was it not the same Eastern Corridor that we had Kanazori giving the Ford expedition? Tell me if I'm lying. It was on the same Eastern Corridor that we had Kanazori giving Ford expedition to the president, to the former president who today wants to come back. You see, you're asking him what they are now promising again, the Eastern Corridor. Credibility is important. And for me, John Dramani Mahama has none. Nana Akufo-Addo on all aspects, pick them. Education, economy, health, pick them. Stand tall. And it is clear, evidentially clear. Now again, you mentioned something. And for me, look, if you allow Adam would mention a whole lot of litany of corruption cases. If you allow me, I'll mention a whole lot of corruption cases. The Ford expedition, the Airbus, the Kanazori, the Jida Sada, the Azotaba, they are confirmed, the tree planted. I'll mention a lot of them. But you see, between the two of us, they are neutrals. They are middle points who clearly takes the position. Now I have with me, and I'm dealing with the corruption thing, I have with me, this is the Global Corruption Barometer, Africa 2019. This is a well-credible institution. Yes, well-credible institution. Now, if you have time, you can go through their methodology, how they arrive at what they have arrived at. Now, when you go here, you will find their country scorecards. Now, on their country scorecards, this is Ghana. This is Ghana. Now, they used 5 key indicators to measure corruption. Now, they used one. It said the bribery rates in this country. They used, has corruption level changed in the previous 12 months? They say, can ordinary people make a difference in the fight against corruption? Now, corruption by various institutions, and is the government doing a good or bad job in fighting corruption? Now, these are the response. They chose 15 as against 2019. And when you read their methodology, it tells you clearly why they chose 2015 and 2019, because those are the prime times of various governments. You can read, I can give this document to you. Now, when you look at bribery rates in this country, in 2015, the overall bribery rate was 36%. In 2019, it is 33%. Now, when you come to corruption in institutions, at the presidency, corruption rate was 47% as at 2015 under John Dramani Mahama. In 2019, it is 27%. I'm not saying 27 is best. We could come to 0. But it tells you that the improvement, the things that have happened, and this is clear and evidential because of the measures that have been taken by the government into the various institutions and corruption fighting agencies, like the Auditor General, like this, you can have it and go through it. So clearly, corruption, Nana Akufo-Addo again stands tall. Look, he can mention the various corruption cases and we can discuss it and tell you that, look, this do not merit the issues you are raising, technically. And I know, and it is because these people know and knew that they were, voted against highly on the basis of corruption. So now, hit the government with anything that you think is corruption and let them come and defend
wrap up for us.
So if that is not the case, now, you're telling me that you went for, you didn't sit in the room to think for Ghanaians and all that. After going around, you came back to still copy the manifesto of the people who you claim sat in the room and they thought or think for the people of Ghana. Because it is clear. Look, and I'll prove them again. Like I was doing before he came. I'm saying that the issue, particularly on the student loan in accessing tertiary education, is a clear copy and polish. And everything under that segment there at page, page 74, is a copied work. So after going round,
so are you saying that you're the only ones who have the capacity to think about the tertiary?
Thank you. So is he also saying that it is only when you go out and meet people and talk to them, that is why you can have ideas to put down policies? That's the point he's making.
How did he say that?
That's the point he's making. So it is clear that after doing all the rounds you do, you still come back to copy. Look, let me give you another clear example. And this one, it is cheap because, look, on page 70, it said, particular page 70H, says set up schools in disadvantaged, overpopulated, and underserved areas, including Zungos and other defined communities. This manifesto is found in MPP, where we clearly stated that we are going to build secondary schools in Zungos. Now, this same thing was in their 2020 manifesto, which they did not fulfill.
You mean 2016?
2012 manifesto, which they brought into power 2016, but they did not fulfill. Look, I can go on establishing Wi-Fi in all the private, all the the second cycles and the universities. This is a clear copy and polish. So clearly, I can tell you, we can go on and on and on and on, and you see a litany of them that have created it. So please,
I'll have you come back and do your final.
To conclude, for me, it is clear that the NDC is just on the verge of holding on to straws because they want to win power. And the Ghanaians are wiser, much more intelligent, and now deep thinking than they used to be. Okay. Which you took advantage of them. Now they are wide open and they can see between the lines.
Okay, so just a quick one here. I'm going to come back to you.
Yes.
But we're getting some messages from our viewers. Kwame Abuaje, Cape Coast, says, double track is an intervention to accommodate every Ghanaian senior high school student. The government has already put measures to reverse them by building more classrooms and dormitories and other infrastructure. So how can candidate Mahama say he's coming to abolish it? And another empty promise. It means candidate John Mahama will cancel free SHS like he canceled teacher and nursing training allowances. All right. Lord Brilliant from Tamale says, good morning, Kweku. The NDC manifesto was undoubtedly the most visionary and out-of-the-box thinking manifesto. No wonder it was dubbed the People's Manifesto. It covers all areas of the Ghanaian public. Okay, we also have another one here. In fact, the manifesto is too long. And can the former president use 4 years to fulfill the utopia he's promising? Banambo from Nadole Kaleo constituency in the Upper West. I'm indeed disappointed this morning by my MPP brother's point of view on NDC manifesto. Is there any rule or standards for a manifesto? Is he saying you cannot promise what has already been promised by your opponent? Gamel from Bolga. Good question, Gamel. Let me come back to you. There's something that I want you to address, yes. Adam. Really quickly, because you made mention of it and you asked me specifically if I wasn't aware.
Yes.
So I want to read something to you. It's from a news article published on the 10th of August 2017, titled Mahama's 10% pay cut used for CHIPS compounds.
Yes.
A former schedule officer at the Flagstaff House, Emilia Arthur, has dismissed claims that monies accrued from a 10% pay cut ordered by President John Dramani Mahama in 2014 cannot be traced. The Deputy Controller and Accountant General told the Public Accounts Committee that the 10% salary cut policy, which affected Mr. Mahama, his deputy, and all appointees, could not be traced. This was coming from the Accountant General's office, okay, to the Public Accounts Committee. The voluntary austerity move was announced by the Mahama administration into 2014 State of the Nation's address. The pay cut summed up to a total of 2.5 million at the end of 2016. The amount was deposited in a special account recommended by the former president to be used for the construction of community-based health planning and services compounds, popularly known as CHIPS compounds. The Deputy Controller and Accountant General Kwesi Owusu said, former Chief of Staff Julius Debra, per a letter ordered the transfer of the amount in 2014, but in a response, Madam Arthur stated that all monies accrued were used for the construction of 12 compounds dotted across the country. I want you to notice that she says that the monies were used for the construction of 12 compounds, not 1,600 as you've said.
Check our green book. You see, the news
I'm saying that this was happening in front of the Public Accounts Committee.
So you see, I'm reporting. You have read a news item, and I said, look, check the green.
I'm sure it's been hands up.
No, so that day. No, you see, don't miss the point.
What's the point?
The point is that under President Mahama, appointees of his government contributed 10% of their salaries to the building of CHIPS compound.
There's no.
Within the 4 years. So let me So you should allow me to finish. You don't want to allow me to finish.
I will.
So the point is established. Is that not it? You were not aware, and I've informed you. Now I'm telling you that in the 4 years of John Dramani Mahama, we have built 1,680 CHIPS. You can check
around like that here.
No, but
look, the
what is the point?
The point is simple. You said to me that 1,600 was, and that's where I had issues with, because 1,600 buildings, CHIPS compounds, built from 10% salaries of appointees.
You had issues with not knowing that. You had issues with not knowing that the NDC built 1,600 plus
with the 10% of salaries of appointees. Which is not possible. That's what I issue with.
You ask for an amount.
How much? What is the 10%? Put together. How much is it?
You see, don't get it twisted. Under the 4 years of John Dramani Mahama, and I made the point that we have an unmatched legacy when it comes to health infrastructure. And I said we built 1,680. Then we have appointees contributing 10% of their salaries that were used to build it.
You got it. Didn't say it was a contribution.
I didn't say
to the amount.
No, you see, and neither did I say that all 1,600 was funded by the 10%. I didn't say that.
What you said. You said you claimed that.
I claim. You see, you can claim back. Sometimes you have to. I made a claim about the number of CHIPS compounds we built. Then I went further to say that even appointees contributed their 10% to building it. Wow. That you don't know. That the people didn't know.
Who didn't know?
Today you have read to confirm. When I asked that you didn't know. Now back to the manifesto.
My only challenge with what your argument is simple. You were claiming that 1,600 have been built using the money of 10%. That's what you said.
That I claim all
that's what you said. And please, that's what
I made two separate. That is fine. Let me move on to my point. So the point is established that John Mahama built 1,680 CHIPS compounds, and John Mahama's appointees contributed 10% of their salaries to the building of CHIPS compounds. That is established, and we agree on that. Now, it's quite ridiculous. It is ridiculous. No, but you didn't give me time. You are engaging in a banter.
I've run out of time.
No, but you didn't give me time. You are not being fair. Because you gave him time, I listened. Instead of me responding, then you were engaging me on an issue, which is different. You should allow me to respond to him. It's your program. You can give me.
Is it on my show?
It is your show, but it doesn't mean that it shouldn't be fair to me.
All right, we've got to wrap up. Okay,
so give me the time.
30 seconds. You don't have any more time.
30 seconds?
Yes.
You are not being fair to me.
Okay, I'm going to say thank you to my guest, Edem Agbana. Has joined us this morning, and then also Nana Asafo-Ejay. I want to say a big thank you to both of you, and thank you for watching this segment of the show. We'll be right back. The health segment is next.
There is nothing as hard as a diamond. For buildings with superior strength that withstand all weather conditions, Diamond Cement should be your preferred choice. Locate Diamond Cement nationwide with factories in Aflao, Takrady and Bupe. Diamond Cement, as hard as a diamond.
Election 2020, Ghana makes a choice. Tracking and bringing you reports of the presidential and parliamentary campaigns across the length and breadth of this nation.
Analyzing campaign activities and election data with our panelists on the Voters Diary.
The Voters Diary is the most factual, instructive, and balanced election 2020 analysis program on television.
The Voters Diary every weekday on Citi TV from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m.
Stay informed on all the relevant issues on election 2020. Tune into the Voters Diary, it's Ghana's choice.
About to change your Sunday night for the better.
The reality is after school in Ghana,
you're on your own.
You're on your own. Where are you going? The job that you are getting, you can't afford your transportation. You have to pick your truck.
Rent.
No matter how rich you are.
You have to go to the salon.
Yes.
You have to go to the salon. Like, no matter how rich you are, unless your parents are buying your car, everything, right after school, life hits you hard.
Really hard.
We'll bring you the most captivating guests and explore the most amazing stories.
It was petrifying, terrifying than what you people saw on camera, because I think the video was about, I can't remember, 8 or 6 minutes. The whole incident was about 2 hours. So one car was chased out of my neighborhood by my neighbors with cutlass.
They came to your house?
So he marched me outside.
Naked?
Naked.
We will dazzle you with real-life situations and examine mind-blowing topics.
You take us down, do that. So, yeah. Oh, nice one. Oh, no, this looks good on me, you know that? I feel like it looks good. I want it to go now.
Ezra chapter 2, verse 12. The children of Akzad, 1,222.
Join me, Frema Binyami,
and me, Ato Kwamna, every Sunday at 7 p.m. on Citi TV. Are you ready?
Upside Down, every Sunday, 7 p.m. only on Citi TV.
Welcome back. This is still Breakfast Daily on Citi TV. Thank you so much for staying with us. Now, today's topic is a little bit sensitive because almost every woman dreams of being a mother one day. But what happens when you are not able to conceive? We'll be talking about infertility in women. I have your favorite doctor, Dr. Kelvin Owusu, here with me. He's the director of Optima Care Diagnostics. If you have any questions for us throughout our conversation, let us hear them with the hashtag Breakfast Daily. Our WhatsApp line is 0550585832. If you're outside Ghana, just use the country code +233 and we will receive your messages. Good morning, Doc.
Good morning, Dziffa.
How are you?
I'm very well.
I love your socks.
Thank you very much.
Now, infertility in women. What is it and why is it so important for us to have this conversation?
Well, it's in English, infertility simply means they are not fertile, they cannot produce children. But by definition, we are talking about an inability of a couple to conceive after a year of regular sexual intercourse. Now, there must be regular sexual intercourse. We're talking about at least 3 times a week. Wow. This is very, very important.
Okay.
You'd be surprised that there are so many couples not having regular intercourse and then they're expecting to have a baby.
So the minimum for regular is 3?
It's 3.
Wow.
Anything less than 3 a week
is regular.
no.
We're busy people.
That's woefully inadequate.
Wow. Okay.
That's
couples
woefully...
out there, you have a way to start the conversation.
But even with that, it also the age of the woman becomes a major factor.
How?
So this 1 year window we are talking about is for women who are below 35 years.
Wow.
Yes. Now, as you grow older, we narrow the time frame. So, for instance, if you are between 35 and 40, we say 6 months. If you haven't been able to conceive within 6 months of having regular sexual intercourse, you are considered infertile and need to be treated or need to be attended to.
Why 6 months versus 1 year, depending
well,
on
because
your age?
as you grow older, for a woman, as you grow older, the quality of your eggs, for lack of ovules, as we call it, diminishes. So the chance of getting pregnant actually reduces as you grow older. So less than 35 is considered your prime. So we have the luxury of time. So 1 year of regular sexual intercourse. If there's no pregnancy, we'll say you are infertile. If you are above 35 to 40, 6 months. If you're above 40, then you should actually start. You should probably get tested even before you try to get pregnant. Mm-hmm. Yes, because then your chances are even smaller, even narrower.
What do we get tested? What are we getting tested for?
Well, so we want to make sure that everything is fine, number one. And if there's an issue, we want to pick it up early so that we can actually start dealing with it now before you even have the try to get pregnant. Okay. And we don't even want you to wait until you want to get pregnant before you come and get screened. We want you to screen now. So once you realize, okay, I want to have a baby, I'm 40 years, you should go and see a doctor. Okay. So that we'll start a screening process, take you through whatever needs to be, taken through, and then find out is there a problem, is there an issue that needs to be addressed, so that as soon as she thinks I want to get pregnant now, everything should be right medically so that she can actually get pregnant.
Okay. What causes infertility?
Interesting. So now, conception it requires 2 people, a male and a female. Unfortunately, culturally, the women get blamed for most of the infertility issues. But interestingly, about 30% of the issues are the male.
Wow.
Then 30% are female. 30% is the couple, and 10% we don't know.
So 30% could be the woman, 30% could be the man, 30% could be both of you together.
Exactly.
And maybe 10% we don't know.
So maybe. If the woman had this particular problem by herself, she could still get pregnant. But because she has this problem and the man also has this problem, the 2 of them now become an issue. Okay. So that's when we say that is the couple, the 30% is from the couple. That's what we mean.
Same woman can be with a different man
and get pregnant. Yes. But because she's with this particular man, and this particular man also has this small problem, then the 2 small problems become a major issue. So 30% is due to the female, 30% to the male, 30% to the couple, and 10% we don't know. We just don't know.
Wow. So let's start with the 30% for the female.
So for you to get pregnant, number one, we need to make sure that you have the ability to actually carry a pregnancy. Okay. So you must have a womb, you must have a functional fallopian tube, you must have functional ovaries, your hormones must be working properly, you must be having your regular, ovulation, so all those things must be intact for you to even consider having a pregnancy. So if you had an accident in the past and your womb has been taken out, obviously you can't get pregnant, through the natural means. If you probably have a hormonal imbalance, if it's not corrected, you can't get pregnant because it could affect your ovulation and the condition of your womb, so you can't get pregnant. So that's number one. Number one is that the woman must have the ability to actually get pregnant and carry a baby. Okay. Number 2, you must obviously have a partner in the traditional sense of the word. You must have a male to contribute the sperm for her to get pregnant, and that male sperm must be good. If the quality of your partner's sperm is not good, obviously you cannot conceive a pregnancy.
What do you mean by a good sperm?
So there are characteristics that a sperm must have. First of all, the sperm must be able to travel straight, in a straight line.
Like just straight?
Purposeful swimming. Okay. It must be able to locate the egg and then fertilize that egg. So if the sperm is going around in circles, it cannot fertilize any egg. Wow. Because the egg, you see, the egg stays in the fallopian tube and waits for the sperm to come. So the sperm must be able to move and locate the egg, otherwise fertilization cannot occur. So if the sperms are not enough they might all die even before they reach the egg. So that's number one. Then if they are not able to travel straight, again, they cannot reach the egg. If the sperm is deformed, it has 2 heads, 2 tails, it's not good sperm, so it cannot fertilize the egg. So that's very, very important.
So you have to get your partner's sperm checked as well? Or?
Well, not routinely, but assuming you've been trying to conceive and it's not working, definitely your partner is part of the issue. We need to check him as well and make sure that everything is fine with him. Then, of course, we'll check the lady as well, make sure everything is fine with her. And then, depending on whatever the results show, then we need to put the results together and then attempt to find a solution. So that's number 2. Your partner must be able to provide good sperm. Then number three is that when the baby is actually formed, you should be able to now carry the baby to term.
Okay.
So again, we have women who are unable to keep pregnancies, because probably, and this might be controversial, they may have a fibroid.
But now, you've also been advised to, be pregnant before you take it out or something like that.
No, so the thing about that's why I said it's controversial. The thing about fibroids is that fibroids by themselves do not affect fertility. However, by their location, they may impact, the survivability of a pregnancy. So if you have a fibroid that is submucosal, it's right inside it's in the lining of the womb where the baby is supposed to implant. So if the fibroid is there, obviously the baby cannot implant on that spot. So if the fibroid is located in the place where the baby must implant, then there's a problem. So that's what I mean by if there's a fibroid, then the baby might not be able to implant. If you have a uterine deformity, when I say a deformity of the womb, it could also affect your ability to implant. So over there, we are seeing that there's a fibroid that's part of the cause of infertility. So that's what I was describing. So if you have,
so where the fibroid is now is where the fetus is supposed to be.
So that's the submucous layer. The area, the space, the white space is where the baby is supposed to implant. And so anything that affects that lining could prevent the baby from implanting.
Wow.
And if that fibroid tends to be big, even if the baby does implant, it could prevent the baby from growing normally.
It's sharing the space.
So usually, even though fibroids are not a significant cause of infertility, if a woman is trying to get pregnant and she happens to have a fibroid in that space, that fibroid would tend to be removed.
Wow.
To enhance the chance of that woman achieving successful pregnancy to term. So I was mentioning that if you also have a womb abnormality, some people have we call it septate uterus. There are several abnormalities. It could affect your ability to keep a pregnancy. If your cervix is incompetent, when we say cervix incompetent, the cervix is the mouth of the womb. It's supposed to stay shut until the baby is fully grown, then it open and then you push the baby out. But if the cervix is not able to do that, it opens too early, you tend to lose your pregnancy. So all these are factors that we would check when the woman comes in with an issue of infertility. But the definition is really, really important, because sometimes, because some women especially, they tend to be, because culture puts pressure on the women to get pregnant early. The woman gets married and within 3 months they are in your office, I'm not getting pregnant. And it puts a lot of pressure on them. And stress actually inhibits or prevents pregnancy.
How? What's the connection?
Because the body is like a computer. Stress is when a lion enters the room, your stress hormones go up, adrenaline, noradrenaline, because they want you to escape.
Yeah, fight or flight.
Nobody thinks about having sex when there's a lion in the room. And so once your stress levels go up, your stress hormones also go up, and so it prevents your sex hormones and your fertility hormones from working.
So even if you're actively participating, all those hormones are not fully there because you're stressed out.
Exactly. So that's that's why it's important to understand that the definition, the time is important. So if it's not up to 1 year, don't stress yourself. Because by putting an unnecessary burden on yourself, you end up getting your stress hormones so up, your blood pressure starts going up, your blood sugar is deranged. All these things will prevent you from actually getting pregnant. So it becomes a vicious cycle.
But how do we calm ourselves down when we desperately want a baby? Because your mother-in-law is asking for the baby. How do you trick your mind to say, let me relax, it's going to happen?
Well, I think
especially when you have a goal in mind.
I think that's part of the reason why this education is important. But of course, if you also go to a hospital and they find the history that you've only been married 3 months, or you've only been having active sexual intercourse for only 3 months, nobody's going to do anything about that.
It's not an emergency.
It's not an emergency. So they will calm you down. They will tell you that it's normal. Take your time. And I don't know if you know this, but in Ghana, I don't know, especially in Accra, a lot of married couples don't live together. And that's also a major issue. See, because the woman's menstrual cycle, women are only fertile for about 3 days in their whole menstrual cycle. Yeah. So, and if you, the man or the woman, don't know their cycle, you don't know when you are fertile, you could be having sex, but you probably be missing all the key times because you're not living together.
When should we have sex if we want a baby?
Well, to answer that question, the woman needs to know her cycle.
Okay.
Because when you know your menstrual cycle, and when I say menstrual cycle, it starts from the first day of your period. Okay. That's day 1. To the end of that. So I mean,
so let's say I started on the 12th.
So that's day 1 of your new menstrual cycle.
And then it will end on the 20th or the 19th. When can be 8 days, like maybe 6 days, 18th.
Remember that your menstrual cycle is not the same as the number of days you have your period for.
Ah, okay. So when would it end, since you're the doctor?
So
this is a hypothetical situation, okay? I'm being a patient here.
So you may have had your period for 2 days, 3 days, 5 days.
Like physically seeing the blood.
Yes, that's when you're having your period. But your menstrual cycle starts from the day that you saw the blood first. So that's day 1 of your new menstrual cycle.
The one doesn't end.
And it goes all the way to then your next bleed.
So it's like the whole month.
Exactly.
So when do you have the sex?
So
to
now,
conceive the baby.
So now, if your menstrual, so you need to do this calculation, this monitoring for about 6 months. Then you strike an average. So if you are getting say 28 days or 30 days, so your average is 30 days. Now the second half of your menstrual cycle is the part that is kind of fixed, which is about 14 days. The first part is not too fixed. So now you have to calculate sort of backwards. So if assuming my that was the when now you know that your cycle is 30 days. Yes. So you count back from the 12, 14 days from the 12 backwards. So let's use 14 to be on the safe side.
Okay, because our math might not
be. So you had your period on the 14. So count back 14 days. That takes you to the first, right?
Yeah.
So that means that on the first, give or take one day, is when you're ovulating. You get what I'm saying?
The first of the next month.
The first of the previous. So exactly. So then now you count after you now know when you're ovulating.
So the first of the previous month is when you were.
So then now you project that one forward, so that you now have an idea when you're ovulating. So if you really want to have sex and achieve pregnancy, you should be having that sex around your ovulation period. But let's not get too technical.
Okay.
As a woman, almost everyone knows that there's a period in the month that you actually get extra. It's too early in the morning.
Excited.
Extra excited. You actually want to have sex. When that happens, you know that you're ovulating, because at that point there's an increase in testosterone in the woman. Yes, I know testosterone is a male hormone, but yes, testosterone also is the sex drive hormone. So at the point where you are ovulating, nature or God has made it such that your desire for sex will also go up. So naturally,
we got a message here from a viewer, Evelyn. She says that she usually feels very excited just before her period or right after her period, but she doesn't really know the cycle that the ovulation.
So it's not just before her period. I'm sure it's a couple of days before the period.
Yeah.
So if you're actually observant, you notice that there's actually a point about 2 days in the month that you actually feel that I must have sex. Even if there's the guy you have a crush on passes by, you suddenly feel like, no, this is it, I must do it.
So that's when you need to find your partner.
Exactly.
Okay.
But now the challenge is because most couples don't live together, they miss that window.
So then, the minute you start, then you have to tell your parents, I gotta go. I need to find my partner.
Exactly. Okay. You see. So that's the thing. But then, if you are now having sex every other day, because if you are doing 3 times a week, that's every other day. If you're actually having sex every other day, you most likely find that window in your sex encounters. And so that's why we say that you must necessarily be having sex at least 3 times a week if your aim is to have conception. So if you come to me and you're not even having enough sex, Why are you even worried? Because you haven't even fulfilled the first requirement. Exactly, you're not even doing the barest minimum. You see, so so you need to try and relax.
Have sex
and just enjoy the sex, you know, so that eventually you have that pregnancy you're looking for. Because once you are worked up or wired up, your stress hormones go up, and it's going to prevent you from actually achieving the goal.
What are some signs of infertility?
So, well, let's talk about the causes of it, because as signs of infertility, we don't really have to, because I mean, you can't get pregnant, that's all.
Okay, but maybe I don't know, maybe you're not getting your period regularly or something.
Well,
that's the cause.
You see, but again, that's also dangerous, because this might take us to another dimension, but not every woman actually sees blood.
Even though they're going through their period.
Exactly. It gets tricky. I mean, personally, I've actually dealt with a couple of, not too many, but a couple of women who have actually supposedly never menstruated per their own standards. But after you speak to them, you realize that, okay, they had an episode of spotting every so often. They don't consider it as period. But you see, but for us, the volume of blood doesn't really matter.
Okay.
You understand? So let's not say it's not so much about whether you're having a period or not. The truest test of fertility is the ability to conceive.
But are there things that you may be able to see that you're like, this might, especially when you're early 20s, because we take a lot of things for granted in our 20s, and then in our 30s we really want to have a baby.
Exactly.
Then it might be late.
So one of the key things, one of the major causes of infertility is recurrent pelvic inflammatory disease, so PIDs. Okay. So occasionally you may have a pain in your lower abdomen. You may ignore it. You may have a vaginal discharge. Ignore it. It doesn't get treated properly. You may have even caught an STI which you ignored. You didn't treat properly. All these things can cause blockage of your fallopian tubes. And if the fallopian tube is blocked, that means the egg cannot enter. And if the egg is not able to enter the fallopian tube, that means that the egg doesn't get to where it needs to be fertilized. And so it doesn't matter what is happening, you're not going to get that fertilization because the tube is blocked. And if it so happens that both tubes are blocked, then there's no chance you can get pregnant naturally. If one tube is blocked, you might get pregnant, but if they both are blocked, the chance is very, very, very minimal. You know, and obviously if you also have, so that's one. Two, if you had an operation before, probably had an ectopic pregnancy, and this is something that a lot of people don't know. But when you have an ectopic pregnancy, and especially if it ruptures and you require surgery, the surgery removes the fallopian tube, because this rupture, you cannot do much with it. So if you've had more than one ectopic pregnancy, then obviously means that you don't have any fallopian tube, so you can't get pregnant naturally. You know, because of advancing technology, there are several ways of achieving pregnancy. So that's why I'm stressing on naturally. You know, so anything that affects your tubes will prevent you from getting pregnant. This is very, very, so that's the whole thing. So recurrent pelvic inflammatory diseases, ectopic pregnancy can prevent you from getting pregnant subsequently. You know, so all of those are very, very, very important. Of course, there are some genetic aspects as well that could prevent you from getting pregnant, but I don't want us to get into that because we can't do much about it. Obesity and diabetes. Well, in fact, obesity, diabetes, hypertension, these three tend to go together, and they can affect your chance of getting pregnant or maintaining a pregnancy. You know, because obesity actually increases your male hormone levels, because the fat cells tend to androgenize some of the other hormones. And so that's why one advice the doctors will give you if you're having an infertility challenge will be to lose weight. That's if you're overweight. So very important to maintain a healthy weight. Check your blood pressure as well, because blood pressure can affect your chance of getting pregnant. Your sugar, diabetes, can also affect your chance of getting pregnant. And diabetes has a double impact, because when your blood sugar is high, you also tend to have recurrent infections. And we've already stated that a recurrent infection can also cause you to not have, to cause your tubes to be blocked. So diabetes sort of gives you a double impact. You know, so these are some of the things that we need to avoid. And in our tradition, and it looks like every time I come here, some way, we end up talking about it. Douching. Yes. It can also cause you to have some of these things.
How?
Because you introduce certain foreign elements into your vagina. And again, every time I mention vagina, I need to clarify. The vagina is the tube, the inside, not the outside.
Vulva.
And so you introduce foreign material inside, and this foreign material can travel up into the womb and then into the fallopian tube and then cause you problems. You know, so it's important that as much as possible, don't interfere with the processes that go on in that space.
We need to end on a positive note. So if we find out that we are infertile, how do we handle it without being so hard on ourselves?
So if indeed you have gone, by definition, you now fit into the category that you are infertile, you are unable to achieve pregnancy normally or naturally. There are so many ways now. There's been so much advancement in that area. There are so many ways we can actually help you do that. I mean, there are artificial insemination techniques. There are in vitro fertilization techniques. There so many. There's so much expertise in that area, even in Ghana at the moment. So many people are experts in doing these things, and we can actually help you.
Okay.
You see, so it's important that you report to the hospital, the right place early. Oftentimes, people go through all sorts of other channels.
Stuff. Is it bad for us? Because a lot of women just use that as last resort. Start drinking all sorts of bad things, just hoping to conceive.
A lot of the BBG on the market is not registered and not regulated. A lot of them have toxic elements in there. So in your quest to achieve pregnancy, you might end up shutting down your liver.
Okay.
And so it's important that you go to the right source, get the right information, and then achieve the results you're looking for. And it's very possible to actually achieve the results you're looking for in Ghana. You don't even have to go far in Ghana.
And there's no shame in
at all. There's no shame.
Have a baby in a different way.
Definitely.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kelvin, for being with us. We have some messages here. Ebenezer, watching us on Facebook, says, interesting. Felix Venio says, very interesting indeed. It looks like the men are really interested in this. Mami Sika Boydi says, very rich information this morning on infertility in women. This morning, you nailed it as always, Dr. Kelvin Owusu.
Thank you.
Mary from Nungwa says, thank you for this insightful information, Doc. So it looks like a lot of people are really enjoying this. I'm Nati. Doctor, you're really making my day. Good work done, CCTV, watching you live in Damongo, Savannah region. Thank you guys so much for watching. We have to talk about infertility in men next week so that we know how to handle it. But how important is empathy when we finally have the conversation with our partners, and should we do it with our doctors so that they understand why we're going through what we're experiencing?
I think first of all, once you understand, and speaking from a male perspective, once you understand that the man is as equally to blame for infertility as the woman is, it takes a lot of pressure off the women, because from the get-go, the woman feels like they have to bear the child. And so once they hear the diagnosis of infertility, there's already an element of depression and apprehension, and why am I abnormal? Why is it happening to me? So the men really need to take responsibility as well, because it could just be you, because it's 30% male, 30% female, so both of us are to be blamed. So let's stick together. I mean, protect the women, because in these instances, the whole family will be against the woman. So you, the man, have to stand by the woman and fight through this thing. Because as I said, there's no shame in it, and it's mostly treatable. So let's just get the information from the right source and take it from there.
Thanks, Doc.
Thank you very much.
Need more men like you. Where do we follow you on social media?
Well, you can find me at Kelvin Owusu MD on Instagram and Facebook. and Twitter. Yes, Nasa Boku or Kelvin OW.
Thank you so much, Doc, for being with us. Don't go anywhere. Our entertainment guys, Kwame Dadzi and Ato Kwame and I will be joining us right after these messages.
So, should you leave a cheating spouse?
Can you survive the marriage? I don't think so.
How do you deal with inappropriate family relationships?
For her to be married to you and still have the audacity to be romantically involved with your sister is serious.
And indeed, is love a good enough reason to marry someone?
Your partner should yearn for you.
Don't forget, you can actually send your questions ahead of time to Jessica at cityfmonline.com. Sister Sister is live on Citi TV every Friday at 9.
Citi TV is live on DSTV. Go to channel 363. On GoTV, access Citi TV on channel 182. On a digital TV, please press the menu button on the remote control and run a new search on your TV. Take note that without an antenna, you cannot access Citi TV on your television. Citi TV can be accessed on a free-to-air digital box like the Go TV and Star Times box. Citi TV, it's your world.
There are those with untold stories, unraveled feats, life-changing stories, and lasting legacies. They tell their stories themselves on footprints.
I didn't hear let him go. I heard come and take him. They took me to another room. There was this muscle man with the cane ready. Go with 12 canes. Then I told myself I won't yield. So I kept my teeth together. Pow, pow. I mean, heavy canes.
Lecturer at KNUST.
Lecturer, very popular lecturer, based in KNUST, being whipped by heart by a soldier who,
Be inspired by their hard work and resilience that led to their outstanding achievements as we trace their footsteps through time.
But I was able to set a record at Apollo.
Wow!
Because Apollo is a place that, it's not only one act.
Yeah, of course.
So when you perform one song, you need to leave for the next act to come. I was able to do 2 songs at a go.
Wow.
Because when I was performing, all of a sudden, about 3 African-American girls, they jump on the stage, started to do my song thing with me. Then the whole, hey, everybody, hey. Then when we finished the music, then I said, do you want more? They said, yeah. Then I looked at the face of the promoter. He couldn't do nothing. He said, okay, go ahead. Then I put in the Sumgadu, because my first what I did was this song that you hear, Brent said. That's what I did. After that, I put in the Sumgadu. Man.
So join me, Samuel Atamensa, and my guests every Saturday at 9 a.m. and Sundays at 4 p.m. for Footprints, only on Citi TV.
Footprint is sponsored by Bethel Logistics Company Limited, experts in shipping logistics.
All right, welcome back, and it's time for us to talk entertainment this morning. I've been joined by Kwame Dadzi and Ato Kwame now, and they're going to help us to delve into some very interesting conversations regarding yesterday's Manifesto launch and a few other things besides. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
How are you all?
We're doing good. We're fine.
Fantastic. So, I'm sure you were paying rapt attention to the Manifesto launch to hear what's going to happen for the entertainment industry.
Yes.
What were your takeaways?
Firstly, it just got me thinking a lot this morning. I was like, it had me to compare both the MPP and the NDC to start off with. I was like, okay, I'm looking at both of some of the promises that they are making. Quite similar at some point. There are certain things that connect, just that it looks different with weddings and stuff like that. And some of them have been expanded just to look like numerous. But I think that both camps have the creative industry at heart. And we are hoping that we'll be able to break it down so that it actually informs our decision when it comes down to the elections.
You wouldn't take the side that the MPP guy on the newspaper review and answer for Jay said that the MDC had just copied them.
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that. Just as Ato Kwame said, I believe that there are some commonalities between the MPP's manifesto on the creative arts and the NDC's, because you could find for example, copyright matters in there. You can find arts education,
the creative fund
also in there. And then there are other things that the NPP also mentioned in their manifesto. Obviously, these are not things that are new to the industry. If you study the NDC manifesto for 2016, some of these things are in there. Okay, so it is not new as in new, but there are a few additions. Something like the creation of Ministry of Creative Arts and Digital Economy. That is quite new. Something they want to do to decouple the arts industry from the tourism and culture sectors. So that is something that they have added to the manifesto. If we can take the breakdown of the highlights.
Let's take a look at that.
But before that, I think ex-President Mahama made some statements at the lunch. Those provisions were not in the manifesto. Okay. So if we can take a look at that, then when we come back, we take the full highlights.
Okay. All right. So let's take a look at that video.
Build modern theaters and studios for the development and promotion of the creative arts. Complete feasibility and continue the implementation of a specialized port on the eastern seaboard of our country, and that refers to Keita. Construct a multi-purpose convention and exhibition center aimed at repositioning Ghana as West Africa's destination for meetings, conferences, and exhibitions. Refurbish the National Theatre. Upgrade NAFTI into a fully fledged multimedia university for film, arts, theatre, and music.
Yeah, so like Kwame Dazi said earlier before we took the video, there's certain things that he mentioned that didn't feature in the actual document that we wanted to throw light on, and how they actually intertwine or look similar to what the NPP said. The refurbishing and building of the theaters and the studios.
As well. The studio aspects too. You know, the NPP mentioned 4 studios: Tamale, Takrady, Accra, and Kumasi. Okay, and he also. So the Tema, I heard the Tema was a mistake.
It was a mistake.
It was supposed to be Tamale. Yeah, so you're not getting a studio.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
But in total, they have about 18 or 20.
The NDC.
The NDC, I mean,
18
promises for the creative industry.
Wow.
As compared to the MPP 5.
It's about 6
or 6, yes. So it's, but like I'm saying, if you break down some of the policies listed by the MPP, not to seem biased, you can actually form those 18 that the NDC have. That's why I'm feeling
so then it gives credence to what the NPP are saying, that the NDC just basically lifted and polished it.
And that's what I'm saying, that in 2016 they provided similar promises.
Yes.
This is more or less like an expanded version of what they did in 2016.
NPP also took their own and polished it and used it.
It tells me that they have the
similar
at heart.
Ideas,
and it also tells us that there are similar solutions to the same problem. Just that these people are just couching the same solutions in different languages.
Yes. And the question I asked myself is that, I mean, after 4 years, that's with regards to them, after 4 years, how many of those policies that you mentioned in 2016 have been able to
be implemented?
And you can count of just one that looks like it's happening. That's with regards to the creative fund. Something you see that there's a bit of movement on that side, but apart from that, and then there's the Kumasi refurbishing of the theater. There's a lot of things which is still ongoing that hasn't been completed, and it brings a lot of question. I'm like, okay, so you're making all these promises every single time. When are we actually going to
actually implement it? And be able to
so
use
they look good on paper. Very, 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 very juicy on paper. But as to whether they're going to implement these promises if they are giving power, that is another thing altogether.
Well, I mean, it's interesting. I mean, there are various things in there. Let me look at the. You want us to take a look at the highlights?
Maybe one, two, or three of them.
Okay.
Yeah, because there's an aspect that they mentioned that they're going to.
Okay, so let's look at that. The next NDC government will implement programs to support the growth of the film, music, and creative industry to drive job creation. Yeah, well, I mean, job creation is a very important aspect of the whole thing. So I think there's an important thing there. Let's look at this thing with GUVA.
The Ghana Union of Visual Artists. Yeah, so there is an aspect for them, there's a provision for them as well, saying that they would make sure that all the materials they produce as in their works of art would be used in the public offices as institutions, as a way of supporting them. Yes, and there is another aspect where they say they will collaborate with Ghana's embassies abroad. So they show Ghanaian films
on Ghana Day and stuff like that.
Day and so on. So and then another one with regards to art education, they say they would give scholarships to creative artists. Maybe go study in certain areas of the creative industry to help yourself in the industry. So all these things are there, apart from the NAFTI being turned into a multimedia university and all that. A lot of them about 18, 20. Yeah.
But I think NAFTI being turned into a multimedia university is, I mean, it's like 20 years too late.
Yeah.
You know, it should have happened a long time ago. Yeah. You know, so I think that if they can actually do it and make it happen, it will be for me. It will be one of the biggest breakthroughs for the industry. You know?
And then also to add that the creative industry is something that each government needs to look at. They should stop. I think they should just stop playing with making promises and actually do it. Because when we are looking at our neighbor countries like Nigeria, how the creative arts industry actually affects the economy, the GDP and stuff. We can take advantage of these things. We don't have to wait for every election year to make the same or expanded promises just to entice people to vote for them. They are really good things. Going into digital marketing for all our artists, it's a really good thing.
And that's another thing that people also mentioned in their manifesto. So they are thinking alike.
So like it's there, they know it's there. Let's just do it. I think that's.
They were not creative enough to sort out their own sounds. They tried to steal his music.
Yes.
His music.
So Walasi is an Afrobeat artist right here in Ghana. And he put up a video in a tweet last night complaining that the NDC took a portion of his song, One Live, which features Sana Dagadu, for a documentary that they showed yesterday at the program, at the launch. And so he is asking the NDC to come pay him. There is a video to that. Let's take a look at it.
Let's take a look at that.
NDC, good evening. Please, I beg you, you didn't help me make my music. You have not helped me in any way in my life for me to create good music. You didn't pay Senku to produce. You didn't pay Cube to mix the songs. Please, I beg you. You didn't pay Mauko, my manager. Please, I beg you. I'm not part of your manifesto. No, nothing is in my blood. Please, I beg you. Do the right thing. The one that you have already used to make sure you do the necessary payments. Please, I beg you. I beg you, do what is right. Wire. Start wiring. You today, you did there. You don't go talk anything. They are using our songs for manifesto. Monkebi. We have a Jamaica say, well, I see you want video. We want new banger. We want new song. We didn't say a boy any edition video on. Start commenting. Start making noise. Let them start wiring us. We are also doing our paperwork. Marty.
Yeah, so that was Walasi. So his song, I mean, hearing it indeed featured in the documentary, and I think as an artist, it's in his right for him to call that. I don't think putting it on social media would have been the right avenue or right channel to get the attention of the NDC. But I mean, it is what it is.
But they got our attention.
But they've seen it.
We noticed.
They've seen it. Well, I spoke to Sadiq this morning. Sadiq is one of the spokespersons for the creative industry for the manifesto. And he was asking which song it was. So I called Walasi this morning. He said it's One Life. Actually, that's One Life. I don't know why they took it without his permission.
Okay, but you see,
Rexoma is Gamro chairperson.
And he's also part of the
spokesperson.
But Kwame, let's be fair. Walasi's song is at least 3.5 minutes long.
Okay.
Yeah.
Less than 5 seconds of the song is what I've heard in the documentary. I don't know whether there's more of it at other places in the documentary.
We didn't. Okay, maybe we need to take a look at the
we haven't looked at the full
documentary
to realize.
The video we saw just
even if it's 5 seconds, if you heard Michael Jackson's signature shout on a documentary, you are not going to question even if it's 1 second or 2 seconds. So
that's his song. It's his song
on the documentary. There's no argument.
But Michael Jackson's signature shout, other people can do the signature shout too.
But you still have to pay royalties. That's the thing.
It was his voice actually on the song.
You will still have to pay
production.
Yes,
in the documentary.
You will still have to pay some form of royalties, no matter what you do. Don't feel like we've done that for you.
I don't agree with you people. I'm not sure if I agree with you people.
So they must pay him actually. They should sort things out with him.
Yeah. Because like he said, he doesn't want to show any form of political affiliation. He said he doesn't have it in his blood. So honestly,
they've seen it.
Kwame Eboa. Let's talk about Kwame Eboa.
Yeah, Kwame Eboa was on Upside Down show on Sunday evening.
Fantastic show
with Kwamina and Femadu Nyame. And we're talking about the industry, the music industry, and how the structures are not being put right. People are doing so much as musicians, but they don't have the money.
Let's take a look at what he said.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at what he said.
So many people, think that these things don't pay, especially from our part of the world.
Yeah.
Would you say same?
Well, it doesn't pay here, but that's because the people who are getting the money are not the ones doing the jobs here.
Wow.
Well.
So what's the issue?
Well, the issue is we have people who are on top of the thing that are taking the money. Like people make music here and they don't see the money or they don't see what comes out of it. I don't see money here.
Do we blame promoters or managers?
I don't actually know about promoters and managers. I just know that the copyright system and that other things does not work here.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, because the people that are on top or that are heading these organizations or these institutes that are supposed to look out for the musicians, I don't think they're doing as much as they should, because every musician complains about it. Every musician complains about it. And even my dad complains about it because he has music. I've heard my dad's music being played in clubs that I'm playing in abroad, and he's getting nothing for it. But when Craig David's song gets played everywhere, anywhere, I get something for it.
Okay. But what do you make of our whole music industry here?
That's a different story, because I think people like me should be working in this industry, or should at least be helping in this industry. I don't even get called to help.
Why? Is it because you're a difficult person to deal with?
I think work-wise, I will be seen as a difficult person because I'm strict with work.
Okay.
And people here are not that strict with work, and let's manage it is a thing that people say. Which I don't find anything, sir. Otherwise, I won't be able to play with these people I work with.
So you think it's our attitude that's killing the industry?
It's the whole thing. It's the whole thing. The guy who's the head of whatever music to do with what experience does he have for music? The guy that does that, is he really thinking about the job he's doing? Is he doing the job right? Okay. How many people?
Yeah. So
yeah.
Well, he's not saying anything new.
Yes.
He's saying something that a lot of people have been saying.
The same thing the political parties are addressing.
Are promising
to address.
Oh, Lord.
Yes.
So, I mean, we need to do, what can we do to solve this problem ourselves? I mean, seriously.
I think what I would say is that most of our biggest exports from Ghana's music industry right now should be able to encourage and help the upcoming ones and sort of lay down the direction for them, because as it stands now, we don't have proper structures that help the artists. Talk about Ghana, like they can go year round and then the artists barely receive anything because there are no structures to track the kind of stuff that Gamro does. There are so many things that are lacking. So I believe that the way forward now is that our biggest exports now should just help the others to actually pick up a particular structure and how they do it, and then that could help. I mean, gradually, as the promises are being made, will see fruition from what's going on here.
And when they go out there and they get the knowledge and experience, they should be willing to come here and help. Sometimes it is difficult for the people right here to approach you to ask you to come help them. But if you have any help, just come and help, because so many people are here who are looking up to Kwame Yeboahs and other people who've made it on the international scene. Just come here and offer the help. I'm sure.
Well, you see, we can go on forever about this, but because people have come to help and they're not, the whole thing hasn't been.
That's another story.
At the end of the day. Anyway, Citi Countdown.
Yes, the Citi Countdown. So the Citi Countdown, every Friday on 97.3 Citi FM. You don't want to miss the Citi Countdown with Jessica. We bring you the 10 hottest songs in GH. And then also on Saturday at 9 p.m. with Olele Salvador Emmanuel Sapon. He actually jazzes the whole thing up. He brings life, so much life into it. So you don't want to miss the Citi Countdown. And anytime I and Kwame Daza are here, Tuesday and Friday, we'll bring you the songs that you should have on your phone.
Okay, let's take a look at those songs that should be on your phone.
This is the Citi Countdown. This is the Citi Countdown. This is the Citi Countdown, number 10.